So when you see a woman that you want to talk to, maybe it's a woman at a bar, maybe you're at a coffee shop, maybe you're at a party, or maybe you're just at work and there's a woman in your office that you just want to start a conversation with. You want to see if there's any spark there. How do you start the conversation in a way that gives you the best chance of attracting her? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 best opening lines to use to start a conversation with a woman, and do it in a way that gives you the best chance to get her wanting to talk to you more. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and one of the things I always tell guys is that if you want to avoid something called emotional quicksand, that's where you get obsessed with one girl. We've all been there, where all we can think about is this one girl and she's not calling us back, and when she does, we just kind of feel like putty in her hands. And a lot of that is because we don't feel like we have a lot of options. And part of the reason that we feel we don't have a lot of options is because most guys have an inherent fear or inability to go up to a woman they want to talk to and start a conversation. We've all been there, right? Where you're at a party and there's a girl over there and she's just your type, and you want to go talk to her, but all these thoughts are running through your head. What can I say to her to stand out? She's gonna know I'm into her the minute I walk over to her, and she's gonna kind of reject me right away, or I'm gonna look stupid, or everybody's gonna see me. And I used to be like this, 100%. I'm a natural introvert, so for me, that was like worse than the fear of death, the fear of having to go walk over to a woman and start a random conversation with her. But over the years, I learned a variety of techniques that make this a lot easier. They don't only make it easier, but they actually increase your chances of success, because most guys, one of the reasons that they get rejected when they do start conversations with women is because they do it in a way where the woman immediately puts her guard up. And when she puts her guard up, it makes getting into a sort of flowing, vibing conversation with her really hard because her guard is up. So the type of opening lines that I'm going to give you now work well because they allow the woman to put her guard down, and allows you to get into a conversation where you can spark that vibe with her. So I want to go through my favorites. Some of these you may have used before, some of them you may never have heard of. So the first one is sort of a classic. This is something that I learned way back when I first started studying, dating advice and working to improve myself. And this was sort of a game changer for me. Before learning this, I almost never, ever started random conversations when I was out at a bar or a party or a coffee shop. After learning this technique, it was basically all I used for a few years. So what it's called is an opinion opener. And the beauty of this is that it's very indirect, meaning when you walk up to her, you're not saying to her, hey, I saw you across the room and I really want to come talk to you and thought you were really pretty, where she's going to go, oh, uh-oh. This type of opener, I'm going to give you some examples, allows you to kind of sneak in under the radar. And the gist of it really is that you're asking her opinion on something. And there's certain things that make this more effective. When you use it on sort of girl-friendly topics, it works really well, right? So if you ask her an opinion of like, hey, what's your opinion of the conflict in the Middle East? Well, that's not really a good thing. It's not going to start a vibing sort of conversation. On the other hand, when you pick things that girls kind of like to give their opinion on, and it gives you a chance to transition into a more fun conversation, those work. Well, the delivery of this type of opener, I'm going to give you some examples, is it's almost like, hey, you kind of like walk up, hey, my friends and I are talking, and we just need like a female's opinion on this. Do you think Jonah Hill is sexy? And she'll be like, Jonah Hill? Oh, because, my friend's girlfriend thinks Jonah Hill is like the hottest guy in Hollywood. And I'm like, Jonah Hill? And what do you think? And she'll be like, no, he's not, or yes, he is. And you can say, then you can kind of transition. It's so funny, like people have such weird tastes, right? And then all of a sudden you're transitioning. Other ways that you can do this, right, is sort of with, celebrity type stuff is always good because when you use pop culture, it's sort of this universal thing that everybody kind of has an opinion on. Other things is something I called glorified gossip. And that's where you say something like, hey, we need your opinion on something. What's the etiquette? Like when you break up with somebody, how soon do you delete their pictures off of Facebook? And she'll be like, why? What do you mean? Like, oh, my friend over there, he starts dating this girl, but her entire Facebook pictures is of her and her ex-boyfriend, and he thinks it's kind of weird, but he doesn't know if he should say anything because he's been dating her now. And then the girl will give you her opinion. And you transition now into this fun topic, right, of Facebook etiquette and deleting exes, right? Or it could be the opposite, right? Like how soon do you start posting pictures with somebody you're dating where it's okay to do that, right, without tagging them? Questions like that, girls love to give their opinion on. And next thing you know, you're in this sort of fun conversation, and then you change the dynamic, right? At some point, you don't stay on that topic. That's the key with opinion openers. You then say something like, what about you? When was the last time you did this? Or you seem like the kind of girl that would say that. You start kind of doing an observation about her, which then allows you to keep that conversation flowing. So another one that I've taught my clients over the years that they've had a lot of fun with is, do drunk I love yous count? I learned that one from, I don't even remember, years ago, and I've used that literally hundreds of times over the years because it's so fun. Because you go, hey, do drunk I love yous count? And a girl, what do you mean? Like if you say I love you to somebody for the first time, does it count? And they'll go, what? Be like, oh, my friend's talking to this girl and she was drunk and she said I love you to him, and now he's like, did she mean it or was she just drunk? Does it count? And the girl will give her opinion. And one of the things that I always do to transition it to sort of a more intimate type of conversation, I go, what about if you say during really good sex, does that count? And the girl will always blush, and you kind of, she'll be like, well, if it's really good. And then you get that sort of flirty, sort of sensual conversation going. You could also do it if, one of the things that I've done is take advantage of props, right? Props are things that you have on you, right? So an example of that is I used to have this shirt that it kind of looked like a janitor shirt. My friends used to joke with me like, oh, that shirt looks like something a janitor would wear. So occasionally I'd be out and I have the shirt on, and I'd see a girl and I'd be standing there, at a bar, let's say, and I wanted to start a conversation. And I just go, hey, I got to ask you something. Does this shirt make me look like a janitor? And she'd go, what? Because I was walking over to the bathroom and some guy goes, hey, there's a spill in there. Can you clean it up? And I'm like, what? And it always get her laughing, and she'd either go, yeah, that kind of does look like a janitor shirt, or no, it doesn't. But you started the conversation very indirectly. So the next way to start a conversation, and this is something that I learned through women, is eavesdropping, okay? And it's so funny because I actually had somebody do this to me the other day as I was kind of thinking about the best ones. This is something I learned, right? I thought back, when women have approached me or started the conversation with me, how did they do it? Because it has happened quite a few times over the years where my friends and I will be out and girls will actually kind of initiate the conversation with us. And one of the ways that it almost always happens is eavesdropping. We'll be talking about something, usually something fun. This technique is really, it's really important that you eavesdrop, you use this type of topic if the girls are talking about something fun, right? So if the girls are sitting there and they're talking about same sort of stuff, right, that we talked about previously, celebrity, gossip, pop culture type stuff, glorified gossip, stuff I mentioned, how soon do you take your ex's pictures? When girls are having those type of conversations and you hear it, it's great to go, hey, I got to tell you, it is never appropriate to post ex's pictures, right? Or I would never let a girl post my picture after the first date. I would be like, oh, that's going too fast, right? You kind of give your opinion on something they're already talking about. And like I said, this works really well if what they're talking about is very light, right? Even if it's something as simple as they're arguing what's better, Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, and you hear them talking, you go, I gotta jump in here. Whole Foods is nowhere near as good as Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's blows it away, right? you jump in that way. If the girls are sitting around talking about, some problem they're having at work and it's like a serious conversation, you don't want to use this. It works really well when they're having a fun conversation. And what you'll notice is girls, a lot of times when they want you to talk to them, they'll have a conversation that allows you to jump in, because that's the method they use when they approach us. So that's the way their mind thinks. So the next example of a way to start a conversation in a natural way is what I call a situational opener. Situational opener. So a situational opener is when you use something in your environment to start a conversation. So an example of this, I was at a bar once, and there was this drunk guy, and he gets up on the bar and he's like dancing, and there's a girl sitting next to me, and she was a cute girl, and I'm like, so I turned to her, I'm like, I'm gonna get up there next. I better hear you clapping for me, right? And she starts laughing, and I go, hey, by the way, I'm Bobby, and we start having a conversation because we use that. So anytime you can use something random or something out of the ordinary in your environment, like if you're at a party and there's like a really creepy guy walking around, you can like joke around with the girl and go, hey, I just gave that guy your number over there. I hope you're cool with it, right? You're using something in the environment. Now, sometimes you can even just sort of make something up. Let's say you're out and you can say, oh, did you see those two girls like fighting out in the parking lot? Now, whether or not there was actually two girls in the parking lot, she's never gonna know. So you can use that as a way to start a conversation. You can comment on, we've all been in the situation, right, where there's like an asshole bartender. And, something as simple as that. Hey, that bar, just this guy's like, he's like completely ignoring us. What's going on here, right? You're just commenting on the guy. Now, all of this is very contingent on you being able to quickly transition away from it. It's very easy to make a comment like, hey, do you see those two girls fighting in the parking lot? And then she'll go, oh, no, I didn't see it. And you go, oh, yeah, it was crazy. They were ripping each other and biting and stuff. And she'll kind of laugh. But you've got to now be ready to make a comment. And it's so very simple. It's something like, hey, hey, what's your name? Hey, like you don't need to have anything golden after that. You just need to transition away, right? You have to be prepared. Like, okay, I've got to do the talking right now because I started the conversation with her. I used this topic of, the asshole bartender or the weirdo walking around the party or the guy at the bar. I've got to now take the lead in transitioning away from that topic and starting an actual flirtatious dynamic between you and her. So the next type of opener that this is like the simplest one you can learn, and this one is really, really great in a, I'm just gonna call it the simple opener, and I'll give you an example of it. This one works really good in a situation like, let's just say you're at a party with mutual acquaintances, right? Or you're at a job where, maybe there's people in your office that you don't really talk to that much, and there's a woman there and you've always wanted to start talking to her, but you really never came across her at work. Or maybe you see somebody at the coffee shop you go to all the time, right? This one works really well in those kind of environments. At a bar, it's kind of clunky, but in environments where you see the person or you have a mutual dynamic, right? You work together, you have mutual friends together, and all you do in that situation is you go, hey, you know what? I don't think we've met. I'm Bobby. Nice to meet you. Hey, I don't think I met. My name is Bobby. So what's your deal? And that's a question. What's your deal is always like sort of a go-to thing to say. Like, hey, I'm Bobby. Nice to meet you. So what's your deal? And she'll go on, blah, blah, blah. And then you can just start a conversation. It's very simple, but it works really well if there's a familiarity already there, because it is kind of like natural, right? When you see somebody all the time, or when you have mutual friends, it's very natural to introduce yourself, So it is kind of indirect. The final one that we are going to discuss is humorous, right? And this is where you kind of say something a little funny, but a little direct, right? So I'm gonna just call it humor. And this was my friend John Sin. This was his like all-time favorite opening line. Is he would see two girls at a party or at a bar or something like that, and he would walk up to them and like, "You two are like way too classy to be here." I'd be like, "No, I'm just kidding." And what was great about it is like, he's saying, "You guys seem too classy to be here," which is kind of like a compliment, but then he's like, "No, I'm just kidding. I'm John." And then he's like, "I'm just kidding." And it's this sort of disconnect, like it's kind of like, is he being sarcastic? They don't really know. So it kind of like gets him in the door. Like, what do you mean? Like, and he runs with it, and it works really well. Other examples is like, if girls seem kind of low energy at a party or a bar, you'd be like, "You two are like the most fun. You guys look like you're having the most fun here," in sort of a sarcastic way, and it gets you in the door. Now, the point of all of these is to get in the door. And once you're in the door, you've got to know how to keep that conversation going. You've got to know how to transition from this opening line, which gets you in the door. That's the only point of an opening line, is to get you in the door. And a lot of guys, they never actually get in the door because they're so scared of this one part. This one idea of starting a conversation scares guys so much that they never actually get their foot in the door. Once you get the foot in the door, how do you transition that conversation to something fun, to something flirty, where you can spark that vibe? Well, if you click the link below, I have a guide called The Charismatic Conversation Secrets. It's filled with literally everything that has worked for me personally and things that have worked for my clients over the years. It contains sort of formulas for flirting, for transitioning, the major mistakes that you want to avoid once you start these conversations. It talks about the sort of rules that exist. And an example of a rule is the 90-10 rule. I mentioned that earlier. When you start a conversation with a woman, a mistake guys make is they assume she's not interested because they start talking to her and she's kind of quiet at first. So their mind goes, "Oh, she must not be into me." But the reality is when you randomly start talking to a girl, if she's not already kind of warmed up, she may not be ready, right? We've all been in the situation where we're just kind of in our own world and somebody in an elevator is like, "Hey, did you see the Yankee game last night?" And you're like, "Oh yeah." And then you kind of stop. Even though you may be a Yankee fan, you're just kind of like not in that social mindset yet. So you got to give her time to warm up. So when you start these conversations, one of the rules is always be prepared to do about 90% of the talking in the first few minutes of starting one. So you're going to learn all these type of rules. You're going to learn these formulas for flirting, the best conversation topics to transition to, ways that you can use things like cold reading, and sort of these gimmicky things that allow you to keep the conversation in that fun realm. So all of that is included when you download the Charismatic Conversation Secrets. You can click the link below to find it. And if you like this video, subscribe to my channel first of all. Click like, and also leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see me cover in future videos.